try to see all these things. And this is also important that authors, they adheres to the established guidelines and the best practices set by the academic community. It means that while reviewing these articles, you want to see the quality of the papers, the methodological rigor. You want to see this. So most of the time, journals, they share the community agreed standards, and sometimes these are present on the website of the journal. So you, as a reviewer, try to see that if the authors, they have tried to follow those community agreed standards. So now I would like that when you are reviewing, what is the benefit of reviewing this paper? Because the benefit is not only for the authors, but also for the editor, also for the reviewers, also for the readers, and also for the community. So what these benefits have for the editor? So because editor is getting the feedback from you as a reviewer, so you provide feedback, and you inform the reviewer, editor, that if this paper should be published in the journal or it should be published somewhere else. But at the same time, you maintain the highest standards through rigorous peer review. It enhances the journal's credibility, because if you see that the Lancet journal, it has very high impact factor. Why it has high impact factor? Because the credibility of this journal is very high because of very rigorous peer review process. So this peer review process also helps the editor to make the credibility of that journal. And it also helps the editor to control the quality of that journal. So that's why it has a win-win situation for everyone. But reviewers, they have also benefit. What kind of benefit? Like when you are reviewing for the different journals, you have the research before time, because like it is not in the market, but you know about the research, that what innovative research is available on that topic. And at the same time, most of the reviewers, they get acknowledgement from the journal, and definitely when you get the acknowledgement, the reputation of the reviewers also improve. And while reviewing, you have good connection with the editor, with the researchers from other disciplines. So it will improve your collaboration with other researchers all over the world. So it means you are contributing to the advancement of knowledge. And when you are contributing for advancement of knowledge, it means that you have satisfaction that you are a good researcher. And as it, at the same time, it has significant importance for the authors, because it improves the manuscript a lot. Maybe you have experienced that sometime when initially I started writing, then I have seen that my paper was just only 5 pages. But when I received the response from the comments from the reviewers, 10 pages comments. So it means that I always say my students that this is the best way to learn. Peer review process will, through this rigorous process, you will learn a lot. So it improves the manuscript. Definitely, it strengthens the legitimacy of the final published work, because it improves a lot. If you see your first product and the last end product, you will see a lot of difference. So it has a lot of significance for authors as well. And at the same time, when you get a lot of comments from the reviewers, although it is not helpful for that paper, but afterward, when you will write new papers, then it will help you to have new innovative ideas to start with your new paper or new research. So, but at the same time, the peer review process, it has a benefit for the reader, because readers, they will have assurance that the whole process is a quality process, and they have a good paper to read. And definitely, it support the readers in making an informed judgment about the issues, about the current issues. And I will say that it has a very good benefit for the community as well, because they have a standard quality papers to read, and definitely the whole process will also direct and teach the new researchers that what kind of good quality research is available, and the new researchers, they are following all those standards. So these are the different benefits while you are reviewing for a paper. And but I have talked to many researchers, and similarly, one global review survey was conducted by the Papillons in 2018, where 11,000 researchers, they have participated. And according to them, 70% of the researchers, they decline the review request due to the lack of expertise, because there are not rigorous trainings are available, so they don't have any um, uh, training or expertise. So most of the time, our researchers, they decline the review, and 42% decline due to because they are very busy in their own research activities, and 39% they reported that they never received any peer review training. And I think it's also true, because when I started peer review, then I did not take any training, but with the passage of time, many of the journals, for example, BMC, Frontiers in Public Health, Lancet, they are organizing a lot of training sessions for the new peer reviewers. So you can also attend such kind of trainings, and this was one of the reasons that many of the researchers, they declined peer review process. And according to that survey, 10% of the reviewers, they handle 50% of all the peer review. And so this is the reason that many of the reviewers, they are experiences reviewer fatigue, because they have to review a lot of uh, papers. Even every day, I am receiving a lot of invitations from different journals to review the papers, but it is very difficult. I just only accept 5 or 6 in a month, but every day there are hundreds invitation. So the reason is that not many researchers, they are involved in peer review process, and then again, the reviewers who are reviewing, they are receiving the invitations. Um, so these are some difficulties which many of the researchers from all over the world, they shared. But here I would like to know that what kind of challenges do you experience while reviewing a manuscript? So you can write in the chat box that what kind of challenges you are experiencing, and definitely I will try to focus in my next session. I will try to focus all those challenges. So you can write. You have just only 1 minute to write about your challenges while reviewing your any manuscript for a journal. Yeah, papers shared that are outside the scope of research interest. Yeah, paper is not according to the expertise. Okay, yeah, this is most of the time reviewers, they have such kind of comments, because but many of the journals, they have like very good system of selection for the reviewers. For example, I am in the editorial board of BMC journal, BMC Public Health, and they have very good system of how you can select reviewers. Yeah, they have all the information regarding the reviewer, so you can see the expertise of that reviewer, and then you can invite for reviewing that which is relevant to their research journals. So and now many softwares are available. Those journals who they not following or using that kind of software, they have to use it, because then they know about the expertise of reviewers, and so this problem can be addressed easily.
Dr.
So
Rubina,
thank you
I
so
have
much for
shared,
the.
Dr. Rubina, I've shared the Mentimeter screen. I don't know if you're able to see it or not, but we have 10 responses on this question as well.
Okay, okay. Because I can see the in the chat box, um, um, language translation. One respondent shared sometime it's not there is no clear instruction. One of the participants shared, and then some journals cover too broad a set of topic, and you can't really contribute to many of the requests. Yes, some journals give absolutely no instruction. Yeah, so, very rightly said that some journals they are not providing that how to review these. Yeah, so they don't have a clear guideline. But many of the, as I said earlier, that credible journals they have clear guidelines about that how you have to give your feedback. But here today, I will share with you that what could be the feedback you can give when you are reviewing your manuscript, any manuscript. So the first point that the feedback should be constructive. It should not be just criticism, because sometimes if you have received any comments on your paper, that you have seen that some reviewers just only they give criticism, or you did not do this. So it's just only criticism. It should not be like this. When you are reviewing for a paper manuscript, you have to provide very constructive feedback. And uh, first thing is to read the paper and have a clear grasp of the meaning of the section, any section which you are reading. And then you start providing feedback. Feedback first on the contents, and then you try to give the feedback on the presentation of the material. Um, Indicate elements that seem unnecessary, because sometimes you have seen that when you are reading paper and some sections are not relevant to that research, so highlight those areas which are not relevant, or if these are relevant, they did not provide a clear justification to include those sections. So as a reviewer, you have to indicate those elements. You have to show that which paragraph do not flow well, but you have to also tell that why not, because why these are not relevant to your topic which you are reviewing. And the one thing which, as a reviewer, you have to see that point out the gaps between the ideas. Because when we are reading a paper, it should be like a drama. The one scene is connected to the other scene. But if the one paragraph is not connected to the other and there is a gap in the ideas, so you have to identify that gap as a reviewer. So, according to the George Mason University, they have provided very clear, very good tips while reviewing any manuscript. Um, the one thing which is very important, that you have to be very positive. So, as I said earlier, it should not be criticism only. So you have to provide the feedback which should be useful for them, so they can use that feedback to improve the paper. So that's why always be positive and try to tell them that what things need to be improved. Because if they have the clear instruction that these things, these points, these areas need improvement, so you have to highlight those areas. And talk about your responses while reading the work, because you are reading that paper sometime. When I start my review, first I just read the whole paper, and then afterward I read each section by section. So I read the section and then I take my notes. And for example, when you are reading, you can say that when I read this sentence, I wondered if the paragraph was going to be about this topic. So you have to talk about those gaps, but in very polite way. Yeah. So the language, it matters. So you have to be like very sure to ask a lot of questions. Yes, you can ask many questions, but at the same time, you have to be very polite. You have to critique the writing, not the writer. Yeah, it's very, very important that we have to comment on the writing. So instead of telling someone that they have trouble staying on the topic, we can say this thing like, this paragraph does not seem to support your thesis or your idea or what you have presented. So you can write in this way, because when you write your peer review or your feedback, in very polite language, then it is encouraging for the authors as well, and they give you very good answer. They will it will contribute to their improvement in their journal, in their paper. So at the same time, you have to be very specific. If you make a statement about lack of organization in the paper, you have to be very sure to point to specific places in the writer's draft as examples. Yeah, you have to give example. For example, line this in this section. For example, in the section of a methodology, on line 21 to 24, this statement is not according to the so you can write in this way. So you have to identify the exact points, not to give overall. Definitely, you will give overall impression as well, but it will be good if you highlight those points by giving the line number, or by giving that exact line and how to improve it. And this is also very important. But I have learned throughout the process of this peer review, I have seen that many times when reviewers, they are giving you comments, they are focusing on smaller issues. Yeah, you should not do like this. Prioritize your comments. Start with the bigger concerns. What are the bigger concerns? It means that the quality of the argument authors they made, the thesis, the structure of the paper. So these are the bigger things. So you have to talk about the bigger concerns first, and then when you address the bigger concerns, then move to the smaller issues like wordiness, like grammar, punctuation, or if there are any spelling issue, the structure of the sentence, like this. But many of the time I have seen that reviewers, they just start with the smaller issues. Yeah, so because sometimes it is not very helpful for the authors, that if we are just only addressing small issues. So we have to start with the bigger concern, then move towards the smaller issues, and clearly tell our readers, the authors, that how they can improve it. Similarly, you have to summarize the comments in a paragraph. Maybe you can write one paragraph or two paragraph about the bigger issues, and then try to write the um, clear instructions for the author. But it doesn't mean that you try to write the paper for the writer. So it's not the task of reviewer. You just only mention your overall comment on the each section, and you identify the gaps. Maybe you can take the examples from the manuscript, and try to explain the author how to improve it. So provide your peer with the considerate and thorough feedback, because if this is your paper, what kind of feedback you want to receive on this paper? So keep this in your mind while reviewing others paper. So if you want that, there should be thorough review, because sometimes reviewers just only give 4 or 5 points and then they say it's okay. It should not be like this. If you are you want to improve the paper, you want that there should be a measure revision, but you have to provide that in which area they have to revise the paper. So it means if you are providing thorough feedback, then they can revise it. And one main point, that while reviewing your paper, you have to follow the sandwich method. So what is the sandwich method? It means that you start with the positive, like positive comment that your paper, it's very good, but there are some areas where it needs improvement, and I'm going to provide you feedback. It will improve the quality of your manuscript, like this. And then try to give constructive criticism, for example, the suggestion how to improve it, but in very polite language. And then at the end, conclude the session, the review, with encouraging remarks. Yeah. So this is called the sandwich method, because if you follow the sandwich method while reviewing your paper, you will see that it will have very positive impact on the author, because then he or she will try to improve it wholeheartedly. And so it's very, very important that the remarks should be encouraging. At the same time, it should be constructive. Um, Barbara Grant, she is a professor of critical education in Auckland University. She has suggested very good constructive responses that we can give while reviewing the paper. So, for example, what is your immediate impression after reading the paper? You can pick few keywords to describe your response, and then uh, while reviewing the paper, what are the immediate strands you see in the manuscript? And then you can list those points. Yeah, at least there should be two or more strands, which while reading you can identify from the paper. Then you can see that if the focus of idea it's clear, and if it is clear how well it is developed, is supporting information is clear related to the idea, it's relevant, and it is presented in orderly fashion. It should not be haphazard way presentation, but in order. And how well does the writer integrate the primary and secondary sources? Because one of the point when you are reviewing the paper, you want to see that what kind of literature they have reviewed. If the literature is relevant and if the literature is recent. Yeah, because sometimes authors, they cite very old literature, although the new literature is available, but they are not citing those. So you have to see as well, and what kind of data analysis they have done, how they have interpreted this, and where might be there is a problem. So this is the main point, that you have to identify the gap. You have to see that a writer's intent being clearly communicated. For example, it's not like this that just only the specialist in that field can read the paper, can understand, but the paper should be written in this way that people from other discipline, they should also understand the idea. They should understand what the paper. So what they have written, what because when I was doing PhD in German university, our professor, they always say that write what you want to write, but that because in our university, we have just adjacent to my office, there were people from other disciplines. And our professor always say that you have to give your writing to people from other disciplines. If they understand it clearly, it means you have written well. So before giving your a manuscript, when you're writing any manuscript, try to give it to people from other discipline. If they understand, it means you have written it well. And one thing is very important, that when we are reviewing the paper, we have to see that the writer's voice come to life for you. Can you describe where their voice is most alive or powerful? It means that does the writer have a unique style that sets them apart from the others? This can be like their choice of words, this can be their sentence structure, this can be overall tone of the writing. So how they have presented these ideas, and where it is weak. So while reviewing this manuscript, you can also see all those points as well, the voice of the author. And similarly, when you are reviewing in some papers which are experimental in nature, with using the experimental design, methodological rigor is very important. So as a reviewer, you have to see if the manuscript is methodologically strong. So when I am saying methodological rigor, it means you have to see that the sampling analytical, if this is analytical paper, what kind of sampling they have used. Either they have used sufficient control experiments, either the precision of the process data and regularity of sampling in time dependent studies, validity of questions, and if it is a qualitative in nature, how they have presented the ideas, how if they have presented the quotes from the interviews or focus group. So you have to see all these points. And similarly, you have to also see the data tables, figures, and images. Because if there are some critical flaw in the table, in the figure or images they have presented, you have to identify these as well. And critical flaw, what could be? It could be the insufficient data is provided, although that they have mentioned in the manuscript that they have all the data, but insufficient data is presented. And sometimes the tables are not clear. And sometimes the contradictory information is presented in the table, which is not consistent with the text they have mentioned. And sometimes it is not consistent with the conclusion. So these are considered as critical flaw. So as a reviewer, you have to see those critical flaws in the manuscript while reviewing. So this is very, very important, especially for those journals which are based on experimental design. Here I would like to ask you that you are reviewing not only for the manuscript, but at the same time, some of you might be, they are doing copy editing, they are doing developmental editing, because when you are doing peer review, it means that you want to improve the quality of the manuscript. Yeah. But when you are doing copy editing, it is related to correcting written material to improve the accuracy, readability, and the fitness for its purpose. So it can be related to grammatical, punctuation, spelling, style errors. So it means that you are doing copy editing. But some of you might be, you are doing developmental editing, which is related to the comprehensive editing process. And that focuses on the overall structure, over the content, the narrative of a manuscript, including the plot development, character development. So yeah, all these thematic depth. So it means when you are reviewing, you can be review as you can be review a manuscript, you can be a copy editor, you can be development editor. So I just want to know you that when you are reviewing for any of these areas, that what are your strategies? Yeah. So you can write in the chat box that what are your strategies, and how many of you are just only reviewing um, uh, for paper, for manuscript, or and how many of you are doing copy editing or developmental editing? So I just want to know that you are just only doing peer review for the manuscript or for thesis might be, but if any of you are doing copy editing and developmental editing, so what are your strategies, effective strategies, you think? Yeah, you can write in the chat box. I will see your comments.
So, Dr. Rubina, as you know that
Yeah.
we have another speaker lined up for the day. She is already in the
Okay.
session with
So
us, and we have a few questions which we would like you to address. For
yeah,
example, we have a question from Violetta. She's made a very good point where she's saying that her field is the computer science, and it may not be, the writer's voice, as you were saying, that where does it go alive? There, it maybe, this pertains to specific fields such as social sciences and humanities, and natural sciences and computer sciences is a little bit different from the other research. How do you feel about that? What is your opinion on this?
I think it's not only definitely when you are reading a paper from social sciences or natural sciences, definitely the author's voice is very clear and loud. But when there are papers related to other disciplines like computer science, the presentation of author's voice is different. Yeah, the style, because definitely they have presented the ideas. It's not like this, that this is just only they provided the formula. They have presented their ideas in different ways. So when I say that author's voice, that what kind of unique style they have used. Definitely in computer science, there are also some unique styles to present the ideas. So when I am saying the author's voice, it's in every disciplines, either it is social sciences, natural sciences,
Absolutely.
or
And
computer
also,
sciences.
I would like to add here that it's not just the unique idea, but it's also the uniqueness of the research. Naturally, the research has
Yeah,
to add something more to the existing literature body. And for that, it has to be presenting something new, something innovative. So the author's voice
yeah,
is definitely there. It might not be very attractive and very wordy in certain fields, whereas in certain other fields, maybe the expression is more in depth.
yeah.
So would you like to just quickly go through the rest of the slides? Because I know that there are some strategies at the end that you had
This
written.
only one slide left because I will give you the handouts and the participants can see that there are different strategies I have presented while they are peer reviewing or copy editing or developmental editing. So I just want to talk about the last slide, which is
Sure.
related to the basic tenets of peer review. Yeah, the first point is that conflict of interest. If there is any conflict of interest, for example, you have worked with the author in the past, or you are trying to work in future, or you have any connection with him or her, so you have to decline the review. Yeah. So because when they are peer reviewing, conflict of interest should be mentioned first, and then you have to decline in case of conflict of interest. It's also very important that when we are advising the journal editor, we are not saying that do this decision. We are just only giving the suggestion that if there should be major revision, minor, or acceptance. So we have to, while reviewing the paper, we have to keep this in mind that we are just only suggesting that, and try to be very helpful and respectful to the author. As I said, yes, definitely, critical, constructive response should be given, but in very polite way. And one thing is very important, because when researchers, readers, authors, they share their papers with you for the peer review, you have to keep this confidentiality of that paper, because might be this will publish after a few months. But if you leak the information to others, then it's not considered as a guiding principle while peer review. And you have to decline the review if you are too busy or not familiar enough with the topic, because I know when I am sending the invitation to the to reviewers to accept the or to review this paper, many days after they answer me, after many days, yeah, sometime after 2 or 3 months, and sometimes they don't answer me that they can't review the paper. So I think we have to tell the editor that we are not available, or if we are available, we have to give the exact timeline that during this time I can review this. So these are the some basic tenets when you are peer review. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
This presentation will be available
Just
with you.
to give a heads up, Bavish and Rubina, thank you so much. I learned such a lot from this session too. But unfortunately, we have to close this session at 1. And Asma, I just wanted to ask if your timing is not compromised, because we have the next international hour. The session it starts at exact at 1, and we will not be able to hold out. I
Sure,
apologize.
absolutely.
Asma, can you manage?
I will manage, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Asma. And Rubina, thank you so much for a lovely session. Thank you. Ji, Asma, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much. Once again, I hope that my screen is clear now, is visible to everybody. Please do let me know about that. Also, I
Not
do
yet.
No, your
apologize.
screen is not visible
Not yet,
yet.
Asma.
Not yet?
We will
Okay.
take, yeah, if you just
No,
share.
it's visible.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, if
Dr.
you
Rubina,
share
I
the
think
screen,
you
and
have
please
to
take this
stop
off.
sharing.
हाँ, Rubina, आप अगर आप sharing खत्म कर
Yeah.
दें, stop sharing, तो वो आपकी screen गायब हो जाएगी. Thank you, Rubina. Thank you. Ji, over to you, Asma.
Okay.
And just to say very quickly, Asma is in Dubai, Emirates University, and she is the vice president of research over there. So we thought there was no one better person than her. Babish, you may kindly introduce her while she goes through the slides, and please, over to you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Asma, for joining us. So Dr. Asma Salman is a blockchain developer. She is a professor of finance at the American University in the Emirates. And her research credentials include a one-year residency at the Brunel Business School at Brunel University, UK, as part of her PhD program. She actively engages in scientific research, as Dr. Rukhsana just mentioned, that she's the president of the Research Society. So over to you, Dr. Asma.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Ruxana. Thank you, Mavish. I really, really appreciate this time. I will make sure that I'm right on time to close at least 1 minute before 1 o'clock. I do also apologize that I am on a vacation right now and my laptop's camera is not in use. So apologies for that in advance. I would also like to thank the previous speaker, Dr. Robina. I think that she has covered so much. It is very difficult to, top it all where we are from there. And I will try to take it forward, not to repeat certain things that have been said before. Nonetheless, I will take you through this reviewing and editing process. So before we begin, and certain workshops, whether they are in person or whether they are online, it is very important to get the feedback from the audience. So I would like to know from the audience, we'll give it about a minute or so, about maybe 70 odd seconds, 80 seconds. What do you see in this picture, and what do you make out of it? Any response is a good response, so don't worry about any different kind of responses. I really do want to have those different responses. So what do you see in this picture? All right, a small island with some signs of life. Toys on a deserted island. It's a beach, relaxing to the eyes, calmness. Post-vacation remains on the island. Much needed break from technology. Leftover island. An island maybe. Careless childhood. Thank you, Ruth, for that. Peace. Okay. An island. So the theme here is relaxation and calmness. It's a lonely island. It's nature. Okay. Interesting. What else? Any out of the box kind of thoughts coming in? It's the ocean. All right. There is nature away from the hustle. Vagueness. It's okay. Ambiguity. It's part of the ocean. It's a palm tree. Human intervention needed. Okay. Thank you, Shabir. Meditation. We're all focusing on the island, but not the ocean. All right. Interesting. Okay. So the whole idea, and please keep the answers coming in. The whole idea of just sharing this picture is the amount of responses we get for a single picture or a single perspective, single idea. You will have so many different perspectives for it. And the whole idea is that we're all unique. We all have different backgrounds. I was hearing some conversation of, having a tech background, a computer science background. Their reviews, their editing requirements, their strategies are going to be so different than any other sociology, social sciences, etc. Again, this is an island, sure, it's part of the ocean. Some people take it as a vacation. And also, there is a bucket, there are some footballs or beach balls, etc. And there could also be somebody saying, oh, wow, I'm here, but how am I going to go back to land, right? So the whole idea that I'm trying to picture here is there are so many different perspectives, and how we bring those perspectives, both as a reviewer and also as an editor, is very important, because as an editor you will be taking all the reviews together and then consolidate them to give a final output as a response to that manuscript. Now, let's be fair to understand that the researchers themselves, they go through a huge process of understanding which journal to choose and so on. I've got a couple of nice slides which are also pictorial in nature that I'm going to share with you. So the theme or the baseline is peer review, which is a process where scientists or peers evaluate the quality of other scientists' work. Now, the idea over here is I'm sure many of you are not only reviewers or editors, you're also probably editors for journals, you're editors for books, you're editors for conference proceedings, and there is a timeline pressure with everything that we talked about right now. This means that timely reviews are so important. Timely responses are so important. Each editor I'm talking about Q1 top journals, they don't have more than 4 to 5 minutes per paper to make a final judgment whether this paper is going to be published or this paper is going to get a revision or will get a rejection, because it has already passed through peer review at different stages until it actually reaches the editor. And then the editor for that particular article or that section of the journal or that section of the book is going to make that decision. Again, peer review, as we all know, is a volunteer service. However, it marks a huge amount of responsibility on all of us who do peer review, that whether or not we are making the right decision. So let's see that what normally, all of us included, we spend a lot of time identifying the right journal for our research articles. And then from those journals, we go through those peer review process. A rule of thumb that I would like to just share with everybody: when you have already identified a journal, I'm just giving you a feed forward and a feedback loop here. So I'm putting myself as a reviewer, and I'm also putting myself as somebody who has, as a researcher who has submitted this to the journal. When you have already identified a journal, please make sure to see what the scope of that journal is. That is going to help big time the reviewers, and as a result, your article is likely to be accepted. It is very important. It's the same very simple analogy. You give an assignment to a student, and you have some guidelines. You want to be sure the student has read everything before he or she responds back to you. So if the same thinking or strategy can be applied when choosing a journal, can be very, very helpful to the reviewers and the reviewers back to you as their response. Certain things to consider before you begin a review. Now, there are certain steps that I'm going to show you where you can also reject to review the articles or review the book chapters or review the conference proceedings, etc. There are many, many different ways these days. Is the timing. Do you have time to do that? Because if you don't have the time, then you've wasted the time not only of the journal, but also of that particular researcher. As we all know, we researchers, sometimes it takes up till a year and a half for any article to be approved. Sometimes it takes 2 months. Sometimes it takes 6 months. There are different journals. There are different review requirements. There are different review guidelines. And there is a different review process. So timing is of utmost importance here. Then the suitability. Is it suitable, the paper that you have been given as a reviewer? Is it suitable for the journal? Is it suitable for that publication avenue? It is important to make that desk rejection formulation at that point of time. Then the individual journal reviewer guidelines. I know this was just being discussed a while ago, that some journals give you those review guidelines, some don't, and that's fine. When they don't give you those review journal guidelines, they are expecting you to give your input into it. So this is your time, this is your opportunity. So sometimes, we get stuck into this spiral that, okay, if I'm going to be given this, I'm going to reply that. This is your opportunity to say that what you really wanted to say to the journal, and maybe you can give them a little bit of your feedback. This can be done in this way or that way, and journals do respond to that. So one of the things, and again, I'm going back to the feedback spiral here. I was reviewing an article for a particular very nice journal in Emerald. And when I got there is a response to the reviewers, and then you go back to the second cycle, etc. So the particular researcher kept replying, "Dear sir, thank you very much for this, dear sir. Thank you very much for so and so we have taken. So it was again going back to the researchers, do not assume on the other side there is only a sir sitting and reviewing your articles. So that also puts you're caught off, off guard here. So I'm just trying to make a bridge here to make you understand both as a reviewer and a researcher. It is important to understand that you are not talking to one particular set of people. Confidentiality, I can't emphasize more on that. As a reviewer, as a teacher, as a faculty member, as a professor, I think this goes hand in hand with our profession to make sure that we are maintaining confidentiality. Co-reviewing. Now, you must inform the journal if you wish to collaborate on a review with a colleague or a student. We need to conform to ethics or ethical practices. So sometimes co-reviewing is really considered very nice. It means that you're opening door to your PhD students who are doing, if you're a supervisor to them, or even your master degree students, should it allow that kind of co-reviewing opportunity. Now, when to accept or to decline to review. Make sure you are aware of the peer review model that you will be working under when accepting or declining a review. Now, what is a peer review model? Now, we know about double-blind peer review model, very, very common one, a little bit orthodox now. Now there is also non-blind one peer review model journals as well. Top journals, Q1 journals, who have a faster turnaround, who are open access and demand huge amount of subscriptions to the libraries, they are working on an open access peer review model. Now, in those models, your name as well as your review, they ask you for your consent, whether or not you would want to work under this model or not. So this is where you accept or you decline to review. Would you want your name to be there? Would you want, or would you not want your name to be there? I mean, in all cases, I think that this is where transparency comes in. And me, as my own philosophy, I would be very happy to have my name and to have it as an open access review, and anybody is open to see my review. It will also talk about authenticity, and this also clears out any like a cookie cutter approach that you're just using the same approach to all the reviews. This can be very helpful, I think, for both the reviewers, the researchers, and research at large. So please make sure you are aware of the peer review model. Then peer review ethics. We talked about confidentiality before, and we also talked about the co-reviewing before. So peer review ethics are really the key here. Please make sure that you follow those. We talked about the journal guidelines. Also, there is a way you can speak to the editors and you can ask them certain queries and they will be very happy to respond back to you. I do get those queries in my role as an editor, and I usually tell them whatever way possible to assist them in that process. And then it helps them make the decision to accept or to decline at that point. Now, just sort of all of us have been here, done that, I think, in our careers. A list of possible journals, and then, well, these are the ones where all the rejections have been made. So yes, we all go through those rejections. Those are part of it. Our responsibility is huge to understand that why we would want to reject an article. And I think Dr. Rubina already mentioned great amount of content over there when she talked about what would be the reason you would reject. Again, you are reviewing the article, the content of that, or not that particular person. So that's important. I'm also making sure that I'm on time. I think I still have about 6 minutes. So here I need an audience response. How would you identify that a particular research is done well? Why? How do you think that would conform for you to say that yes, this is this is good research done? I'll be happy to see your responses. Okay, whether the research is interconnected, argument is built well and strong, research questions, the gap methodology, that's great. Clarity of ideas and writing, that was up at the beginning, guidelines, okay. Methodology, I think, yes, all of us, we consider methodology as one of the key elements. Proof of results, systematic, well-designed, coherent, pieces of puzzle fit together. Okay, whether it's innovative or not. Demonstrates knowledge of previous work, methodology, etc. I think those are all, okay, novel concepts. I'll keep probably a minute or two in the end, but before we move ahead, I'm sorry about rushing it as I'm told that there is less time. I want to have your thoughts, and I'll share mine quickly, on artificial intelligence review. So there is a growing concern that the reviews are done in an AI language, or perhaps identification of articles that are using these languages, ChatGPT, etc. And also these AI reviewers who use AI in the reviews also have a little bit of a cookie cutter approach. They're almost like similarly written. It's very interesting. First, the humans, they have an input of data that goes into the machines, and then the machines, they want to write like humans. So it's you can see how it's going around in a circle. So how can we use it effectively? Now, there is no question that it's not going to be used. So the question is, how can it be used effectively, given that recently there was an article in a very top journal in Elsevier, which the literature review started by, certainly, I can help you with that. And that was ChatGPT. So the question here comes, who was the reviewer? How well the reviewers are actually reviewing those articles and how that came along. And you must have noticed as faculty, as teachers, as practitioners, if you're teaching, that the same concerns comes with students, because it is difficult to identify. They cite so many researchers which actually do not exist. So this is another growing concern with that. So this is just an actual representation, how all of us usually feel when we get major comments on our article. And of course, all of us, we are here as struggling scientists, I think, and are also looking for certain citations. Before I end this session, just a couple of seconds more, there has been a new article, or let's say new finding coming on from the Retract Watch. So if you're following that to see that whether journals or articles that are being, retracted, whether they were plagiarized or whether they were not cited correctly or whether they were self-plagiarism, Pakistan has come at the forefront. Now I know that's not the best news, but what is the best news out of all this? That there is a lot of research happening from Pakistan, which is great. And that is the reason that there are some mistakes that happen also. So our aim over here is how we can mitigate that and bring, the research coming out of Pakistan at the forefront. And with this, Dr. Roxana, I think I was on time. Thank you very much.
Asma, you were brilliant in trying to, you didn't seem rushed, you were interactive, you made people talk, and you put in just the right things. Rubina was very, very thorough in the review process, because that does need a lot of thought. And so as an editor, I think you very well did justice. And I'm very thankful that you put in AI, Asma, because AI is, though the note was not very happy. And I just saw in email according to the QS rankings that happens, I think, out of Britain, they had said that universities of India are moving up very fast among the top universities of the world, and they are
Oh,
rising
that's true.
spectacular. And these two things put together sort of don't make it a happy day among so many other things. But the good part is so many of us want to hear about it. You are literally the second last, the session. We have one more to go exactly in another few minutes. And Asma, please, we would love to see you when you're ever in Lahore. And Rubina, do drop in
Absolutely.
at the campus. We'd love to have a gupshup with you, and you've been very kind. Thank you so much, Asma.
Thank you.
Once
Thank you very
again, thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Rubina. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. We will close down now and rejoin on the second Zoom link for the next session. We have 126 participants till now, and so that was a pretty good showing. Thank you. So all of you will have to join again. And Asma has given her email if you want to reach out to her. She's actually from Pakistan, so we have similar interests in many ways. And it was very kind of her to come forward and sort of offer these sessions. You have offered two with us so far. They have
Thank
been
you. Thank you. It's my
brilliant.
pleasure
Thank you.
indeed.
Thank you, Asma. God bless. This is a poll for both of them because the topic was very similar and intertwined together. So, and we will, Gohar, my watch is a bit.
Let's start the next session.
Okay. So
Yeah.
thank you so much once again. And bye-bye.